So the last story for today comes from the register.com. It's been a long time since we've had a register article. And the title here is Guess Who Left a Database Wide Open Exposing Chat Logs, API Keys, and More? Yep, Deepseek.
Dun dun dun.
So I, this was a issue found by Wiz. Wiz's research team is super adept at finding exposed or improperly secured databases. And in this instance, they found through some subdomain DNS reconnaissance a ClickHouse database that was wide open to the internet with zero authentication challenges that provided access to apparently millions of records or millions of lines of chat logs. So people interacting with the DeepSeek LLM, kind of like you would do with
So so
ChatGPT.
not only do you have to worry about like them using it to retrain their models or whatever else, they could just leave it exposed to the internet for anyone to find.
Yes,
Hey, more training history for other vendors.
right. Which I think is the one of the another one of those lessons around the novelty, right? We had lots. I know personally, lots of people signed up, and in fact, they had to turn off signups for some period of time because they were under attack. And by the way, I'm still not sure if it was an actual attack or just too many people trying to sign up all at the same time. Because for some period of time, it was the number one application on the iOS and the Android app stores, which is amazing,
Mind boggling. That is non
mind
trivial.
mind boggling. And and look, this is you said it before, right? This is a Chinese application, and I'm not trying to bash on the Chinese, right? But like, there's a discontinuity in how laws are and data privacy expectations and whatnot. And we saw lots of people running off and interacting with this, and finding out that it had some funny, at least funny to us, censorship things like certain historical events being censored in that model. But the other interesting thing I thought was, this isn't it's open source. Like, one of the really novel things about this is that it's an open source model. You can actually download the model, and in fact, almost every single one to a T of the of not Chat GPT, of course, right? But like Perplexity and Amazon and Azure and Google and most all of the AI providers actually downloaded that model and offered it to you in their own implementation, which would not have been impacted by this. And so I think the
In
lesson,
seconds, by the way. In
yeah,
seconds.
I know.
There was like a mad rush that is just like, does anyone stopping to consider anything? Or are we just like, get it out there now or we're doomed?
Someone from my old job asked me, is this like, how much risk does this impart? And it's hard to know, right? Because it's not like downloading a binary application and loading it, right? But at the same time, we for years, and I have the same complaint about Docker containers. So if you've heard this before, you'll recognize it, right? For years we have made, like decades in fact, we've made fun of and poked jokes at and included training about not picking up USB drives in the parking lot of your office and then running and plugging those into your work computer, because that seems like a really bad idea. But here we are, like, for many of us, it's China is a adversary, right? For better or for worse. Um, you know, a political adversary, or economic adversary at least. Um, and downloading something from them that you don't fully understand, and then loading that up into systems on your network to do stuff. So, what I'm advocating for is a little bit of thought and diligence and whatnot. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all these people
Ain't
really
nobody
thought it
got
all
time for
through.
that.
Maybe they
Ain't
thought
nobody
it
got
all
time for
through.
that.
They pulled out their threat model checklist, and they war gamed it out and determined that it was perfectly safe to do, and so then they went and did it. But I have a bad feeling that's not what happened here. And in the instance of people who actually used the hosted version of DeepSeek, your data may have been exposed. You if you
Okay, boomer. This is not 10x thinking.
it's definitely not 10x. No, I never claimed to be a 10x thinker, by the way.
Hmm.
Only
This is not
11x.
this is not the innovate this is not the innovative mindset we need. But
No.
back to the story, it gets worse. It wasn't just that they found like raw data of chat history, backend data, sensitive information, log streams, API secrets. The SQL databases were available to them, and they could send and execute any arbitrary SQL query from their browsers. Show
Right.
tables, run tables, like everything. Like they had operational control it was wide open, unauthenticated.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I mean, to DeepSeek's credit, when they were notified, they quickly fixed it. But I'm speculating here. I said the same thing about OpenAI, by the way. When companies are rushing to get this stuff out the door, security often is missed.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is a huge miss, but more subtle misses could certainly happen, and maturity is not there. So, speed can be the enemy of security. And we are seeing a whole lot of speed around AI right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but business is going to business. And I would caution you, dear listener, if you are the okay boomer Luddite that Jerry's being in the business, be careful how you say it. Otherwise, you will be shut out of the conversation. And I know that sounds very cynical, but it is true. Like we don't want to lose our seat at the table by being too risk averse on this, for good or ill, movement that's occurring. In my unsolicited opinion,
Yeah. Yeah.
but look at frankly, this is bad for all the stuff to have been wide open, and uh, who knows what else is out there for any of these vendors like this. And they're probably getting a lot of free audits right now.
Oh, count on it. Count on it. I know there's a lot of consternation. I think that the European data privacy people have opened a GDPR investigation into them, but at the same time, like I don't necessarily know that this company, this deep sea company, necessarily positioned themselves in this way. I think it was, uh, I think somebody let the cat out of the bag and said, "Look, this model is way better." I mean, I'm paraphrasing and being a little hyperbolic, but this model is way better than OpenAI and is way cheaper. And that seemed to have caught the imagination and attention of a lot of media in the US. And my guess is it caught them flat footed because I don't think this deep sea company is all that old. I think they're only like 2 years old or something like that.
I should have done the research on this. I remember reading this yesterday, and I'm going to get this wrong, but it's not like DeepSeek promoted this. As I understand this, this went viral from an
Mm-hmm.
investor blog talking about how this was a threat to NVIDIA. And it got picked up and rebroadcast by a couple of very big investment accounts on various social media. And that blew it wide open uh, to what's happening, what we're seeing here. But I don't
Right.
know, I think that's how we found out about it, and that's too you were talking about earlier. That was a massive loss on NVIDIA because the theory was Deepseek didn't need the number of chips and didn't need all this investment, all this NVIDIA hardware, and that was a threat to NVIDIA's massive valuations, which are stratospheric right now. So yeah, it's interesting. It's not like DeepSeek was like, "Hey, come look at us." I think this kind of went viral through an odd set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, take that with a grain of salt. I don't have the research in front of me.
Yeah. It's interesting times. You hit on something I think is worth repeating. There are a lot of people in the security community who are very skeptical of AI, and for good reason, right? But at the same time, organizations are moving, but both on the provider and the consumer side, moving to AI at a speed like I've not seen anything. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of us, said it again, I said it before, and I'll say it again. A lot of us are looking at AI through the lens of our experience with blockchain. We thought that this was a pointless technology that consumed a whole lot of energy for dubious value, and uh, you know it's just not that. It's not that situation here. Are there instances where people are sticking AI in pointless stuff? Absolutely. Are there things that are being AI enabled today that will not be AI enabled in 2 or 3 or 4 years? Most definitely. But it does not take away from the fact that there are companies already making productive use of AI, and companies will continue to take things like this that appear to be novel and perhaps provide the ability to move the needle or make material improvements above what they're already doing, and they're going to go rush off and play with it. And what I am trying to advocate is we still have to be a little bit skeptical, but not to the point where we're necessarily, you know, blocking what the business is trying to accomplish with its strategic objectives, because your replacement will be the one that ends up helping to figure out how to use DeepSeek. I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but it's not necessarily wrong. If you are obstructionist about the business trying to meet its objectives in the most efficient way possible, like you're gonna get left behind.
Yep. And I know some people will yell at their podcast playing device when they hear that. Uh, I think it's a hard lesson for us in security. At the end of the day, we're still here to enable business.
Right.
And if business wants to go down this path, we either go with them and try to help as much as we can, or they go around us. We cannot
Yeah.
stop them effectively more than once or twice before we will be replaced. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds very defeatist or very you know, not very morally strong, but I think it's true.
Right.
And you know, we may very well be in a situation where we can say, "I told you so," and I informed you thusly, but I hope not.
So I think there's two ways to look at this story. The first is from the perspective of DeepSeek. They obviously made a mistake by leaving this ClickHouse database exposed. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like, based on what I know of ClickHouse and the way it's presented in this article, and I also read the Wiz report about it, I don't think it was necessarily part of the operation. Like, it's not in the flow of how their DeepSeek model works. I think it's an adjunct and things that they're using to analyze what people are asking of it, and it does have other sorts of sensitive information. But I I say that because I am left with this distinct feeling that this was set up as not part of the core infrastructure of DeepSeek, but as a like an adjunct. It's
Mm-hmm.
was something that they were, some data science person set up, or what have you, to to gather intelligence, to mine information out of what was happening with the with their main application. So that, by the way, is not unique. Like we've seen that happen many times in the past, and I think it's something that we have to be cognizant of, and again, not necessarily stand in the way of, but help facilitate in a way that doesn't have it sitting out on the internet with no authentication. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the very other side, I think we have to be, again, looking through the lens of what we just said. I think we have to be the advocate to say, well, maybe we shouldn't play with the one that's hosted by the company in China. Maybe we should try to find one who is, who it's either hosted by us in a sandbox or in a partner that we trust, like AWS or Azure or what have you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the problem is AI is getting built into everything that you can't control. Like every bit of code, every SaaS tool you have, every whatever next version is going to have some bit of AI, and who knows where that's being run out of. So it's not all very discreet
There,
that you can control.
it's true. I guess I'm
But
I'm talking more of the tire kicking. Like I
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, agreed. I mean, the Deepseek terms of conditions are very, very clear that they're going to gather and keep everything and use everything you type into it.
it's
So
not that uncommon
no,
for this sort of thing. So
yeah,
anyway,
I hear you.